You don't know how I feel when young people tell me that they like my historical facts. It makes my day. Today, I want to talk about a situation which was there in the past. I'm very sure that those who are in Kenya today would be shocked that we had such a situation in Kenya at any given time. I get disappointed when some young men confront me, of course on social media, by telling me that they confront me on social media by telling me that we allowed Kenyan to rot during our time, and it is you people who let Moi do what he did. I can tell you during Moi's time, I can tell you during Jomo Kenyatta's time, if we would have been 1% of what you people are, we would have long died and we would not have given birth to you. It is unfair to judge things today, to judge things of yesterday using today's parameter. Now there was a time, now to the story of today. There was a time when people were above the law. When people were above the law. And in one instance, uh, there was a minister from Machakos called Paul Joseph Ngei. Actually, Paul Joseph Ngei was a prominent leader of the Ukambani because the town called Machakos was named after his grandfather. His grandfather was called Masaku, and the Wazungus could not pronounce Masaku, so they said Machakos. It is said that Masaku just disappeared, and even today, nobody can trace his grave. Paul Ngei was very close to Jomo Kenyatta because of their time in a prison in Kapenguria. So he could do anything. In fact, even the law that states that the president, okay, the new constitution removed that, but there was a time when if you are found with an election offense, you could not contest to be an MP or a political leader for 5 years from the day you are convicted. Now, if the elections were held in 2022, and those cases used to take long, so the case is determined in 2024, it means that any elections between 2024 and 2029, you cannot offer yourself. But when Gay was found guilty of making an oath, the oath I think was called Kathitu, he was barred from election for 5 years. But before the seat was declared vacant, a law was passed quickly, giving the president of the republic power to forgive anybody on election offenses. And the first person to get that was Paul Ngei. It was also rumored during my time that one of Margaret Kenyatta's children was Paul Ngei's biological. But what is obviously known is that Paul Ngei and Jomo Kenyatta differed in prison. I want to correct things here. It is not good for people to give misinformation to the next generation, which will be carried to further generations after we have gone. There is somebody who said that Paul Ngei once beat up Jomo Kenyatta because Jomo Kenyatta cooked poorly cooked ugali. No. When they were in jail in Kapenguria, they used to cook their own ugali. They used to cook their own ugali. And since Jomo Kenyatta was elderly, he was made the cook because he could not go to the farm. He was made the cook because he could not go to the farm. It was seen as a simpler job. But Kenyatta was a very poor cook. And the person who beat or even wanted to beat up Jomo Kenyatta was Kariuki Chotara. And it is Paul Ngei who prevented Kariuki Chotara from beating up Jomo Kenyatta. I don't know whether it was in Kapenguria, Lokitang, or even Maralal, but during that time. So Jomo Kenyatta and Paul Ngei were very close in prison, in detention. That is the record there. Another thing that happened was when they went to Lokitang, Kenyatta's family used to visit him. Kenyatta's family used to visit him, and among the people who used to visit him was Margaret Wambui Kenyatta. So one day, I don't know how it came about, Jomo Kenyatta came, while they were in prison, came across a love letter from Margaret Kenyatta to Paul Ngei. That is the only time they had a difference. So when my daughter is visiting me, like any other person who's visiting, you are using that opportunity to seduce. That is the only time they somehow differed. But after Kenya attained independence, of course, Paul Ngei did not join KANU. He started a political party was called African People's Party. But since most of their people were Kambas, people started calling it a Kamba People's Party. A Kambas People Party. But it is all African People's Party. That is how he was. But he later broke his party and joined KANU. And when he was in KANU, even when he had the African People's Party, he was very close to Jomo Kenyatta. He could do anything. So, what I wanted to talk today, because I've already talked on how he killed Captain Angaine, a daughter to Judith Kangaine, a daughter to, if you check that one, you'll find in an older version. But today I want to talk about one day they fought. He fought with somebody called Mbolu Malu. Mbolu Malu was an assistant minister, and Paul Ngei was a minister. But they used to, those days, the most powerful position in the country, in the district, was what is called district KANU chairman. So they used to compete against each other. And one day, in the presence of people, not even the people, the OCPD, the county police commander, they fought that way. Impunity was so high that they imagine a minister and an assistant minister fighting, and the county police commander is just observing that like a spectator. Another thing is the mode of dressing. Those days, unless the police officers were putting on jungle uniform, and unless those police officers were in the black ceremony uniform, any other time, even the overall, it is only the provincial police officer and above who used to put on long trousers. But the district, what we call today, county police commanders, used to put on short trousers. That is where we have started. And, and if you compare the police of then, when I talk about dressing, you'd be shocked, because a recruit today puts on a long trouser, but police in charge of the county, the whole county, would put on a short trouser. And you can see from the picture that instead of even the police officer stopping them, he was watching, because there's nothing he could do. Both were very powerful people, and he was just a simple person.